emotional play there. So, for instance, my brother was moving, and we've been making films for a long time, and we wanted to work together on this. So we told a pretty cool story about what we'd done in the past, and how this would really be our last time to work together on something like this before he went on to something else in his career. And that got funded, and we didn't shoot very high. We really careful about writing a script that fit the budget. And so we ended up raising about $2,000, which isn't much money. We put in some money of our own as well. I think our whole film cost $3,000. It was only a short film, but if you look at the production values on our short film, they're pretty staggering for what we got for that amount of money. We built a full spaceship set inside of a 4-car garage that looks legit. And as long as you fog the hell out of it, make it look like an alien, you know, Ridley Scott Aliens, the fog everywhere, then it hides all the imperfections and makes it look really, really 1970s style technology, you know. So after getting funded that way, we've since done other projects, and we have kind of an interesting thing going where we have comics and that sort of thing in our company that make money too. And so we've been able to save up the money to do this next film that we're shooting without any crowdfunding at all. We're just funding it ourselves. But it was definitely a stepping stone to get there. So that's just my one thing about Kickstarter. If you're going to do it, make sure you have a really compelling story for why.
Yeah, let me jump. I agree with that 100%. We were both shaking our hands.
So you're like, you're saying yes, yes.
Thing. You know, I think ultimately it comes. I had this discussion with this guy yesterday about making movies and what he was doing here in this state. This is a weird. Utah's got like craziness going on here, man. Like this is you guys got this really cool mix of like talent and people who aren't paid at all. And you know, and coming from a state where like man, like I see the need for. Okay, I'm not going to go into guilt talk. This is but I will say this, that it all comes down to the story, right? And why are you doing what you're doing? If you have a great story, if you guys have seen Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. And I feel like there is disproportionately, especially now, a real focus on what's my target audience? Who am I trying to reach? What's my demographic? How much money am I going to put into this thing? How much money am I going to make off this thing? And really, it should be: are you telling a story that has some universal truths that will appeal to people, that's coming from your heart? And if you are a storyteller and you tell the story that way, then people will want to see what you got, and you won't have to hawk it like a used car salesman as much. So, like, if you really want to be the storytellers in the world, you know, and come from an Irishman, dude, where is your accent?
I'm only putting this on so you'll think I'm cool.
Where?
I'm from Alabama.
You liar. Where is it from?
Belfast, Northern Ireland.
Really?
Yeah.
See? Oh my gosh, I can listen to this guy talk all freaking day. All day.
Welcome to my other panels then.
Yeah, I'm going to. I'm freaking going to. Because, you know, the storytellers are the Irish, man. Like, we are. I'm proud of my heritage. And, you know, focus on the story. Tell good stories. And if you do that and look around and say, what resources do I have available? You'll be able to do it. Like, you know, you'll be able to build that ship and make it sail.
You know, the other reason the Irish are good because they're good at making conflict. So, starting things.
Yeah. A bunch of drunks.
Well, they say that God invented alcohol so that the Irish wouldn't rule the world.
You know what an Irish boomerang is? You know the Australian boomerang, you throw it and it comes around and comes back to you. Irish boomerang, you throw it and it goes around the world telling sad songs about Ireland.
And that's surprising what my next panel is you know, as we go, we're going to open up and we'll do like Q&A so we can know exactly what you guys want us to talk about. But a couple of cool things that are happening this weekend. We have It's like a free filmmaking boot camp, so if you're interested, we're down at the Adobe booth, so you can learn all the software, Premiere, all that. So the creative media group that's down near where the Batmobile is, you know. So go on and we've got a green screen and you can, you know, have a laugh and see if it's something that you're interested in. I also have a couple of film festivals that are coming up. One, the 48-hour film festival, and it'll give you the opportunity to come along and you make a film in 48 hours, and then we guarantee a screening in the cinemas the next week. So it's a really cool thing. You don't have a film on Friday night, and then you do have a film on Sunday, and everybody loves you. So that's really why we're all into filmmaking, because we all are just desperate for people to love us.
Are you still accepting people for the 48 hours?
Yeah.
If you guys have never done that before, it is a huge way to push your creativity to its limits. I have been involved in these in Los Angeles before, and the things that come out of them are absolutely gorgeous and astronomical, and things that you can't believe that your mind could create in such a short amount of time. So
it's also a great way to network with other filmmakers,
Yeah.
because another talent, because that's where they're gonna come out.
Yeah, definitely. And it's one of the biggest festivals in Utah. It's an international festival, happens in every city around the world. And if you win the Salt Lake City one, you go up against the winners from New York, from Tokyo, from Paris, from Berlin. And then the best of then go to Cannes, you know, the French film festival. So it's a wonderful thing, you know. And the guy Martin Freeman, who was Bilbo Baggins, he entered a couple years ago. And Penn and Teller do it in Vegas. It's a really great thing, so it's a great opportunity for you to come along. And if you want to chat to me afterwards, I can tell you all about it. But we are still accepting it. And it's on the 30th of May to the 1st of June, so it's coming up in about 6 weeks or so.
You pay for it yourself, right?
Yeah. Well, part of it is you know, there's kind of a catch-22 for feature-length stuff. If you want to get money, and your idea is great, a lot of times people get really excited, and you're like, but I want to direct, and they'll be like, what have you directed? Oh, some shorts. Well, you're unproven, and so a lot of times you haven't proven yourself, but once you prove yourself, they'll give you money. So I literally have 5 different friends who are waiting for money. They're trying to find it. They've been trying for a couple of years to find money for their film. We just said, you know, we put a lot of effort into the script, which brought a lot of attention to the project, but we saved money, you know, save our tax returns, save this and that, you know, get enough that we can beg, borrow, and, you know, passionately implore people to work on the film. So we did pay a little bit, but I still consider it a micro budget.
Never underestimate the power of hanging out with rich people as friends too. Seriously,
I don't know.
it's all that you know. You can get people to fund your cool, crazy art projects if you meet the right people.
Networking.
And you know, the film that we just did, Synapse, like, what happened with that, talking about story and what you're saying, you put a lot of emphasis in the script and stuff. We really focused on making this story, and we're really passionate about telling it, and we had no money. We had nothing. And we ran out and started filming it. There's a great story online that you can find about us getting arrested. It's awesome. You can't film. You just can't. And plus, I was running around with a gun. It's a lot of fun. Cops are like, and that was fun. Very Irish.
Good way to get shot.
Yeah. So, you know, halfway through production of just running and gunning and doing this thing and bleeding and sweating for nothing as far as pay was concerned, it was a very rewarding experience. The Los Angeles Center Studios and Hollywood locations who do Mad Men, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, they were behind Mission Impossible films. The owner of the studio saw the dailies that we were filming. He said, what is this? And they said, you know, this is this film that these guys are shooting in downtown LA. And he's like, oh, I think I heard about that. They got arrested, right? And they jumped on board as producers. And literally, it was overnight, mid-production. The next day, we had a catering truck, a grip truck, you know, lighting. We had drones flying with cameras mounted on it. And that happened, and that's why I really believe, if I can give anybody any kind of hope, if you really believe in your story and you put the effort in, stuff will happen. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's a secret of God or what.
I think I want to piggyback on the end of that because our film, it's the other end of the spectrum. We set out, we had no money, we had a great idea for a story, and we had to decide how we could do either spend a lot of time focusing on getting funding or saving money, or we could start. And so we just started, and it took us.
Who needs scripts? Yeah, start.
Well, that's the thing is we just started and then we tailored the story to fit what we had.
Well, you had good ad-libbers too.
Yeah, our film is a found footage movie, so it lends itself to not having a scripted dialogue. But we did spend about a month coming up with our scene breakdown, if that makes sense. So we did have our story locked down and tight. But since we had no money and we had very little time to get all of our actors into place, we had to tailor the story to be able to take a year and a half to make, which it did. So a year and a half later, we're finally wrapped and we're in post. But our focus was story, but in a little different sense. And to piggyback off what he said about if you do it, if you focus, you have a good story, people will, good things will happen. Ours didn't happen overnight. We didn't have somebody jump in and say, here's everything, finish. But 20 minutes before I arrived here, I got my first offer for the film. So.
They will come.
Absolutely.